Welcome to Entrepreneurship at Rowan, an official production of the award-winning Rowan Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We cover the entrepreneurial pulse of Rowan students, faculty, and alumni. Prepare to be Rowan proud.
Hello, Rowan community. My name is Ashley Kulikowski, and I'm your host for Season 3 of Entrepreneurship at Rowan. We are excited to have our very own Dr. Matthew Edson, the Dean of Rowan University's brand new School of Veterinary Medicine, the first and only veterinary school in the state of New Jersey. Dr. Edson holds many roles. He is also an entrepreneur as the owner of the Rancocas Veterinary Associates. Welcome, Dr. Edson.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. We're so excited to learn about your entrepreneurial journey, to learn about Rowan's Veterinary School of Medicine. You run your practice, your vet practice, along with being the dean and founding dean of Rowan's School of Veterinary Medicine. So I would love to get right into your whole journey, dive a little bit deeper. Can you tell us more about your journey from being a kid on a farm in South Jersey to a doctor of veterinary medicine and entrepreneur? I did some research. I would love to know your journey, though, as a kid on a farm to a doctor and entrepreneur.
I mean, I guess I started out with this love of animals as a tiny kid and a 2-year-old with ducks, and that was always my thing. So I think from a young age, I wanted to go to vet school.
Yeah.
I have a family full of people who went into human medicine, so did undergrad planning to be an animal science biology major, which I did, and then took a bit of a diversion into human medicine.
Okay.
Became a paramedic, did that for a few years.
That's awesome.
Maybe I was going to go to medical school. And I think after a little bit of time doing that, sick people or sick cows, I got back on the sick cow train. So decided that probably wasn't the right route for me and ended up going to vet school from there.
Oh, wow.
So, being a farm kid, always had an interest in large animal medicine. Thought that was going to be all I did for my career, mostly horses. So left school, I started a practice, just me, my old pickup truck, a dog, and a toolbox full of drugs, and started doing farm calls. And that grew from there to, let's start an office in the basement of our farmhouse and see some dogs and cats, to a lot of dogs and cats in our first office. And first office grew into another office, and then that office grew into a bigger office. So it turned into a much larger operation than I probably anticipated when I started. But
this is amazing.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. So how long was that journey? When did you first begin that journey, I guess, is the better question.
2011.
Yes, over a decade. Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is awesome. So how did you first have the vision to start your company, and where did you get the capital for it?
I always was sort of a business inclined guy, and I think it's important if you're going to start a practice to like the business as much as the medicine. Yeah. And, I was that kid on the farm who was selling pumpkins at a road stand and, making muffins and selling them at the roads, or whatever I could do from a kind of early entrepreneurial age, right? I used to have a small computer company in high school where I did network consulting and built computers, and just the business piece of that was always of interest to me. That's so awesome. I got to combine my love for veterinary medicine with business, which was a perfect pairing for me. So that's always really been what I wanted to do, just as much as the practical and practice side of things.
You always had that entrepreneurial spirit since you were a kid.
Yeah. I like building things, right?
Yeah.
And that's what this vet school project has morphed into. It's another opportunity to build something new. So.
Oh, it's incredible. So then speaking of Rowan's new School of Veterinary Medicine, can you share with us your journey to becoming the dean the founding dean of this school?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story, because I was very happy running a veterinary practice, and most of us that are in these dean roles are long-term academics, and I'm not that guy. I'm a private practice, general practice kind of entrepreneurial corporate type person, and not an academic. So I came into this when I was president of our state veterinary medical association, starting to work with Rowan about potential plans for a veterinary school in our state. So that morphed into me becoming a consultant for them. I'd done some teaching previously at one of our partners at our RCBC over in Burlington County in the basic sciences, chemistry, biology, microbiology,
That's awesome.
Anatomy and physiology. So I had a little bit of an intro to the academic world from my years teaching there, and then have done a lot of work on accreditation for vet schools as a volunteer. So I kind of understand the process, but I think for me, having been in this environment growing up in the state and knowing just about everybody in veterinary medicine in New Jersey and having those connections has been a good way for me to start to build this program. So after all that time as a consultant, they asked me if I would come on in a more formal role, and I still didn't really want to leave my really happy place in practice, but this was an opportunity to build something again. I like building things.
Yes.
Probably an opportunity I wouldn't have had otherwise to do this in the state and help out future veterinarians in New Jersey. So here I am. It's been since 2018 or so we've been on this project, and I think I'm approaching a year and a half, 2 years formally in the dean role. So
wow, yeah.
Enjoying it so far.
This is incredible because some things you don't expect, and this is one for you.
This was most certainly not something I expected to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't close that door. You opened it through education, right? Like educating, starting at RCBC. And now it has evolved into launching an entire school, which we need to say that we are one of the 34 vet schools in the country, but the first and only vet school in the state of New Jersey. So that's such an accomplishment.
Yeah, we're not there yet, right? We're still in the process of building this program and getting it accredited, and probably won't admit until 2025. So we're still in process. But yeah, there are a very small number in the entire country. And there's a huge shortage of veterinarians. There's no way for them to get an education in our state right now. So
you're right. Dr. Lagori and I were just talking yesterday. Only 57% of people in New Jersey own a pet. I mean, not only 57 is huge. 57% of people in New Jersey own a pet. We need more veterinarians.
Yeah, and most practices right now are trying to hire, and there's at least 6 jobs for every vet out there looking for a job. So it's getting really hard to keep up with the demand. Just not having enough practitioners, whether they be veterinarians or veterinary technicians, or, you know, in this employment climate, even support staff of any kind. So that's a challenge. Something happened in COVID where everybody wanted to go to the vet. And I don't know if that was people adopting dogs or people working from home and watching their dogs do things they did for 10 years, but now they saw them do it. So now they want to come and visit the vet and ask why. But we had a huge influx of business in a climate where a lot of businesses didn't have that. They had the opposite.
Yeah, it could be because of the remote work of being able to be with your pet all day long. And you're right. See things that you don't normally see because you're not with them all day long.
Yep. A lot of normal things that were abnormal concerns during the pandemic. So, but we're still riding the wave trying to catch up with all that, I think, as a whole across the country in vet practice.
Well, and it's great that you and Rowan University are able to join forces and create such an incredible school to meet the need, to meet the demand. And that's really what Rowan University wants to do as a whole, right? And you can do that through your experience as an entrepreneur, through your education, and now you're building an incredible school, incredible leaders. I always say, build leaders and it'll impact generations to come. And that's literally what you're doing. So I am curious, when the days get hard as an entrepreneur and as a dean, how do you persevere?
I guess it's always about knowing what the long-term goal is, right?
Yes.
And there's always going to be setbacks in getting there. And it's not supposed to be easy. Right?
Yeah.
I think if it were all easy, it wouldn't be a challenge and it wouldn't be so interesting. So
you're right.
It's not always easy keeping that in focus in the moment, right?
Yeah, but fixing our focus.
Right. Remembering what the long-term goal is and
That's
taking
good.
a breath and keep moving forward. So the challenges are different for sure in private practice versus an academic environment. So there's some adjustment that has to go along with that. You know, the pace of things is different. The rules and structure of things are very different in a state-run academic environment versus private practice. But it's all part of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the life of entrepreneurship too, right? So listeners, I'm right there with you. We got to fix our focus. Perspective's everything. You heard it from the dean, from Dr. Edson. Yeah, you're right. That's how we persevere. That's good. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket. I love that. So as you look over the past 11 years, because you said 2011 was when you first started your practice, and it's 2022. So 11 years it's been. As you have endured the COVID-19 pandemic, navigated the current labor market and the complexities of New Jersey's regulatory environment, what lessons did you learn the hard way?
Probably most of those had to do with New Jersey's regulatory environment. And I think one of the things that we're not really doing a great job of yet in veterinary education is preparing students who are entering practice for all of the things they have to deal with in the course of owning a practice, right?
Oh, wow.
So we teach them really well on how to care for animals, make plans, prescribe medications, perform surgery, right? But we don't teach them as much as they should know about running a business.
Yeah.
So when you come out, you need a DEA registration to have controlled substances, right? You need an X-ray registration and inspections from the state DEP. You need a permit to generate medical waste. These aren't things we really teach students in school. So a lot of that was a learning curve coming out of school. Some of the tax law, tax implications on what items are taxable, what services are taxable, what aren't. Employees need workers' comp. Like, these are pretty large pieces of running a practice outside of the medicine, and I don't know that we focus on that enough. I think part of that might have to do with the shift, right? Years ago, everyone went to vet school and everyone hung up a shingle and started a practice, and now we're in a world where there's a lot of corporate practices and people leave, and many people don't have an interest in running a business. It's not all puppies and kittens in vet practice, right? There's things about running a business that a lot of people don't want to deal with because it has nothing to do with what they trained for. So I think we need to do a better job preparing students for all those surprises about the regulatory rules, the tax implications, what an LLC versus a corporation, all these little trivial things that seem like they're not going to cross your radar. If you're going to be a practice owner, they are.
That's awesome. So you have learned all of what you need through the hard way of not knowing, of not really being given that education. And now you're able, from the lessons that you learned, to pour back into students who are interested in veterinary medicine and running their own practice, that they don't have to jump into this crazy but great entrepreneurial journey with tons of questions that aren't answered.
Right.
They're provided the education.
At least a starting point, right?
Yeah.
To know that you need to know. And we might not have time in our curriculum to make them all entrepreneurs or give them an MBA, right?
Yeah.
We have enough time to let them know that, hey, these are things, if you want to do this later, that you need to be prepared for. And I think overcoming that hurdle is important. That's how we get more people back into practice ownership privately, is making them feel like they can.
You're right.
Even if they're not 100% ready, they know enough to know where to start.
Yes.
And hopefully we can get more of those folks to come out and have an interest in not just joining a corporate practice and starting a hometown practice where they grew up and something along those lines. So
you set the roadmap for our students.
Right.
Which I think
just need to know it can be done. And I think right now it feels like that's not within reach for most folks. But if I can do it, so can they. Right?
I love that. Yeah. Are there any lessons that are unspoken or not talked about enough in entrepreneurships that students like myself who run a company, or students looking to start their own company, should be aware of?
I think for me, it goes back to the question that I didn't answer that you asked before about capital, right? And I think for me, this is about starting small and manageable.
Okay.
And like I said, I started this practice with an old pickup truck and my dog, and we drove around and went farm to farm. I didn't have an X-ray machine when I started because I couldn't afford an X-ray machine, right?
Yeah.
So as the practice grew and I could afford those pieces of equipment and had to add new services and add technology, then we would do that when it was affordable. I think it's not the best idea in my mind to go take out a giant working capital loan and throw everything on the wall and hope it sticks and say, man, I hope I can pay this back in a few months.
Yeah.
So I started tiny with no working capital and $15,000 worth of drugs from a distributor and equipment that they split payments. I didn't have to pay for the first 3 months, and they split them over the next 9. And that's how I got started. And I remember those first 3 months going, man, I got to pay for the first installment of this in 3 months.
Yeah,
and
the
I
pressure.
hope I can, right?
Yeah.
And now, not that that's not a lot of money, but that's a drop in the bucket for the volumes that we do in a big practice now. So I think growing slowly and starting from a very small point like that lowered the risk a bit.
That's good.
Maybe gave me some more patience and knowing also that you can do without a lot of this stuff as you start out, and reducing your risk as an entry point was probably the best advice that I could give for anyone else who wanted to start something like this. Don't get in too deep before you learn how to swim, right?
Yeah, no, that's so good, because I think, and just speaking about capital too, capital alone can be like an overwhelming topic for new entrepreneurs because they don't know which path to take. But you also don't want that pressure of, oh my goodness, I need to pay this back and also make profit on top of it in order for my company to be successful.
Right. Or to eat.
Yes.
Or to pay your student loans, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's all these other things.
So many other
aspects.
aspects.
And that's a lot of stuff to think about. And has to be right for you and your family and the rest of the circumstances too. But that's the daunting part, right?
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of people work somewhere or look to buy a practice, but you can start your own. It's a lot less expensive. It's a whole lot more work.
Yes.
It can be done. Right?
But it's worthwhile, and you've seen it be worthwhile within your career.
Right.
That's incredible. So then, okay, this is good. So start small and don't be too big for your bridges.
Start small and grow from there.
I
grow
love
when
that.
you can.
Yeah.
And for me,
work hard.
I wanted to do this alone. I didn't want a partner, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad that I didn't go that route. There's other routes to do that. And sometimes that's right for folks, but I wanted this to be my little pet project, and that's what it was, and that's what it still is. And
it's grown into so much more.
Yeah.
Like it's like so many more lives impacted and pets impacted.
Just your staff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of weight to having to pay payroll.
Yeah.
You feed these folks and their families. Like that's a pretty big responsibility to have too, right? But it's also really cool that you can have a business entity that's big enough to support other people's lives too. And then all the clients and all the pets. But the business piece of that, I think sometimes we forget the weight of that as well.
No, that's a good point. And it's possible. You started with a pickup truck, and just that will forever be ingrained in my mind. And it's such a good visual because you show that it's possible. So speaking about possibilities, share with us your best moments from the thought of, wow, this is possible, to now accomplishments thus far in both running your vet practice and also leading Rowan's School of Veterinary Medicine.
Man, it's such an interesting job that there's so many moments. A lot of them I wouldn't believe if I wasn't even there personally, right? I mean, I think a lot of it in a practice perspective is all the good that we've done for pets, whether that was my own cases or cases of people in my practice. And, there's days that we went out on calls and rescued horses stuck in the mud in the middle of the woods, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
made an impact like that. I've had a lot of ability to do international work, which has been really impactful for me. I've been in Nicaragua, Thailand, Tanzania, Haiti. I did a project, seeing students that we take on these trips and being able to make an impact for people who have no access to care in other places in the world.
Yes.
That's been really impactful. So I think some of those big moments, and even some of the smaller moments where 10 years later you're standing in front of this big facility that's your new place, with the drug rep from 10 years ago who says, remember, I'm the first person who met you in your farmhouse basement when you just started out. Like, sometimes I think we don't think about all the progress that gets made and just stand back and take a moment to look at how far things have come. So in a more global perspective, that's been really nice to take those moments to reminisce.
What would you say, what role do you see entrepreneurship playing in Rowan's new School of Veterinary Medicine?
I think we want to inject that into the curriculum as early as possible. Right? There's always a struggle. We have 4 years to teach them a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And every year we have a growing body of knowledge, whether it be science or business or something else. So we have to find places to shove all this in and still get it done in 4 years. But I think for us, having a professional skills curriculum throughout that talks about business, talks about client communications, right? You have to talk to the owners. Those are the clients. The dogs don't come with credit cards. Like, there's a business that this is not an industry in which you just do it because you don't want to talk to people. Right?
Yeah, you have to have people skills.
People skills, right? So we're going to inject all those things pretty early in the curriculum to give them that foundation to say, hey, if this is something you want to do later, we're giving you the tools to do it. And then beyond that, if they have an interest, have some elective options for them to pursue that interest more. We do have a program with the College of Business that's an MBA program for DVM students and postgraduate DVMs that allows them to have an accelerated pathway to an MBA.
That's awesome.
Offering a DVM MBA through the program,
yeah,
as well as taking veterinarians who've graduated and giving them some transfer credits from their veterinary program into the MBA. We're trying to get a little bit more of that business acumen out into the veterinary community, whether it be through our students or postgraduate veterinarians.
Oh, so I love that.
We'll make sure that all of them have the foundation,
yeah,
but they also all have the pathway to learn more if they want to do that.
That's literally what I was just thinking in my head, pathway. You're creating that pathway. If they want that, they have the opportunity to receive it.
Right. Open the doors, right?
Yeah.
If they want to see what's behind them, we're going to give them the chance to do that.
No, I love that. So if I'm a vet tech student and have an idea for a new pet therapy product, or I'm halfway through my DVM program and have an idea for a new surgical device, how can Rowan help me turn my idea into a business?
So I think that's one of the strengths of our programs here, right, is that we have a lot of great cooperation between programs. So whether that be the School of Business and people who want to help to commercialize that technology, whether that be the School of Translational Biomedical Sciences or the engineering program, we have the ability to kind of cross disciplines and
yes,
have students get all the folks that they need together to do that. So our new complex out on the West Campus, the School of Translational Biomedical Sciences, is going to have a research tower that's built in conjunction with the vet school. We'll all have a big cafeteria in the middle, so my orthopedic surgeon can go to lunch with a biomedical engineer and a student who might have a new idea for a new orthopedic device or a bone implant, and those folks can talk about that over coffee and come up with ways to commercialize or develop that technology. So
I love that.
We started very early with trying to find ways to cross the boundaries between all these schools, whether it be the medical school, the engineering program, whether it's theater students coming in and being actors for client communication scenarios, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure that they have that community, access to that community to build on all the other talents we have across the university.
That's awesome. So the access to the community, the cross disciplines, mm-hmm, and then that networking too, right, like with just through that's such it's a simple but brilliant idea to have that type of area where you can get coffee, get lunch, and be able to network and connect with professionals in the field.
Yeah, I think business people are great at networking, right?
Yeah.
I know that veterinarians typically have that skill set quite as well as someone who's in an MBA program, right? I mean, you see all the things that the Rowan College does that are these evenings with a CEO, or
yeah,
sit and get coffee with the guy who runs Wawa, or whatever the other things that come across
yes,
in the school are there. And we're not as good at that. I think there's a lot of introverted veterinarians, so getting them out there and getting them to build those connections while they're a student hopefully fosters the interest in doing that post-graduation too.
Oh yeah, definitely, and will grow and impact their career tremendously. So lastly, I always ask this question to our guests because I love the different insight that we get. So if you could give one piece of advice to our listeners who are maybe on the idea stage, maybe they don't have an idea yet, but they know they want to be an entrepreneur or take that entrepreneurial journey, what would that piece of advice be?
I think it goes back to what I said before. It starts small, but do it, right? Like you don't want to think about it for years and then somebody else came up with the idea and then that opportunity is gone. Or think about it years later and go, man, I really wish I had done that.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's always risk, right? I mean, that's part of the thrill of these business ventures is there's always that risk. There's always the uncertainty.
You're right.
But the rewards are there as long as you do it the right way.
Yeah.
Start small, but start.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Don't anticipate it. Yeah. Start.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Dr. Edson, thank you so much for joining us. Is there any, could you share with us any type of resources where people can learn more about Rowan's School of Veterinary Medicine, learn more about your practice, connect with you potentially?
Yeah, so we do have a website for the veterinary school. It's rowan.edu/SVM. I think we also have rsvm.rowan.edu. So as we develop the school, we're starting to post more things publicly. We're hopefully going to post some admissions criteria, some prerequisite courses, et cetera, pretty soon. So for more information on that, check it out. our emails are on there.
Awesome.
vetmed@rowan.edu goes to my office. So anyone who wants to connect, we welcome emails.
This is great. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Edson.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
It was awesome. So you heard it here first about the new School of Veterinary Medicine at Rowan University. Thank you for joining us at Entrepreneurship at Rowan. This podcast is filled with experience, knowledge, innovation, and of course, entrepreneurship. So continue to listen to our episodes so that you can grow with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening. Rowan is proud to be an official knowledge hub of the International Council for Small Business. Our AACSB award-winning entrepreneurship programs challenge students to solve real problems in bold and impactful ways. If you're interested in supporting entrepreneurship at Rowan or want to get more involved by hiring an intern, speaking to a class, or being featured as a case study, contact us at rcie@rowan.edu.